You're listening to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast for now. I'm your host, Tori Mistick, the founder of Wear, Wag, Repeat, and welcome back to my podcast. It has been a minute, y'all. I have not published a new episode in about 5 months. So I wanted to record a quick little check-in here to tell you what I have been working on in that time, because I haven't just been sitting on my tuchus. I've been busy over here creating a whole other podcast, which you may have already listened to. I'll get into that in a little bit. And I just want to tell you a little bit about what is coming up in the near future and some other little changes that are going on here. So thanks for tuning in. Again, you can find this podcast streaming everywhere that you listen to podcasts. And it's also a video on YouTube if you want to go check it out there. So what have I been working on lately? If you've been following me for years, or if you are brand new to me, you might have already learned that I love dog enrichment, and it's one of my big passions. And so what I've been working on in the past couple of months and why I haven't been recording this podcast is because I created a limited series podcast called Dog Enrichment with Tori Mistick. It is 10 episodes where each episode, well, there's an intro and kind of a wrap-up episode, but all the episodes in the middle, each one is dedicated to a different category of dog enrichment. And I did a deep dive into the science and the research behind these different types of dog enrichment, because we all hear all the time, you need to do snuffle mats with your dog. You need to do sniffari walks. You need to do trick training and give them cognitive puzzles. But I wanted to get into the why. Why are these things actually good for your dog? And what are the benefits that they give your dog and you? So I did a ton of research. There are scientific studies and books and papers that I am referencing in every single episode. And then I break it down into layman's terms and I give you some clear, actual ideas of dog enrichment activities that you can do with your own dog today. So you don't have to go do a years-long scientific study to see the benefits for your dog. These are simple things that you can actually do right now. But I wanted pet parents everywhere to really understand the science behind the enrichment, because I think when you understand the great benefits it has for you and your dog, you're going to be more motivated to do it on a regular basis. So that podcast is out now. You can find that everywhere that you find this podcast, like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, etc. And again, it is called Dog Enrichment with Tori Mistick. I am really proud of this show, and it has been a labor of love. And I have to mention that show is dedicated to my dog, Lucy. Lucy was by my side for 13 and a half years, and I just said goodbye to her last June, which feels like yesterday, when she lost a battle or reached the end of a battle, I don't know, with hemangiosarcoma. She had splenic mass hemangiosarcoma. And if you have had a dog that has dealt with that or know anyone, you know that it is a really sucky cancer, and it's very unfair. And it took my Lucy away from me much sooner than I anticipated. But that whole process kind of caused me to reflect on what I was doing in my business. And I have some other episodes that I've recorded about this last summer when it was kind of fresher. But really, it led me down this path of getting back to my roots of Wear, Wag, Repeat. I started this blog over 13 years ago to share all the things that I was doing with my dogs. At the time, it was Lucy and Lola. There's Bert just hopping up right behind me if you're watching the video. And I started my blog to share all the cool things I was doing with my dogs so that other people could get ideas for cool things they could do with their dogs. And now that I have all of this canine enrichment expertise to share with people, I knew that I had to get back to my roots and get back to my why of why I do what I do. And I'm so glad that I did, because it led to so many great opportunities. So I started this podcast of my own this limited series podcast, which was just really rewarding and fun to work on. It also led me to opportunities to be on national TV talking about dog enrichment on behalf of dog food brands. I had a contract all last year that I worked with a pet subscription box called Pup O'Clock, where I create the dog enrichment activities for their subscription box. It's specifically for people with kids and dogs, so they're kid-friendly dog enrichment activities. I also had the opportunity to partner with my friend Sarah Carson, who is an amazing dog trainer. You may have seen her on America's Got Talent, and she owns the Pupper app, and that's an awesome dog training app that I've loved for years, and she asked me if I would create some enrichment content for her app, and that's coming out soon. So I have been very busy behind the scenes, and that's why I've been a little bit quiet on this podcast. But doing all of those things, those are all things that I've been doing to grow my business. And one of the things I love to do here on this show is share with you what works and what doesn't work and how I'm growing my business. So some things you can expect to come from this podcast this year are going to be some small, bite-sized lessons and takeaways of what I'm doing, what's really working for me right now, and how you might be able to implement it in your pet business. So I know different things work differently for everyone, but I just love to share my own lived experience of what I find to be effective and what I also find to be a huge waste of time. And I hope that it's valuable to you. So now to get into the other thing I want to share with you, at the beginning of this episode, I mentioned that you are listening to the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast for now. And I didn't mean that the show is ending, but the name is going to be changing slightly. So to make the show more in alignment with my other podcast, Dog Enrichment with Tori Mistick, the title of this show, as you see it listed on all the podcast apps, is going to be changing to Grow Your Pet Business with Tori Mistick. And then I'll say, buy, wear, wag, repeat. I'll put a little wear, wag, repeat in there because we don't want to forget it entirely. But moving forward, this show will be called Grow Your Pet Business with Tori Mistick so that it's in alignment with Dog Enrichment with Tori Mistick. I just wanted to do a little bit of housekeeping and organizing and streamlining because I've had this business for so many years. I've been blogging for 13 years. I've been podcasting for 8 years. I ran the Wear, Wag, Repeat Society membership for 5 years. And there's just been a lot of things that I've done over the years. And it's really nice sometimes to just kind of declutter, streamline, do a little bit of house cleaning, and get everything more organized and more easy for people to understand. So that is the little change that you are going to be seeing here on the podcast. There's going to be some new podcast cover art as well to go with it. So that's very exciting. Just kind of like a little refresh, a little mini makeover on the Wear, Wag, Repeat podcast. So thank you so much for listening and being a fan and a follower for all this time. Or if you're brand new, thanks for finding me here. I'm also hoping with this name change that my podcast will continue to be more searchable and discoverable by petpreneurs out there who can benefit from the hundreds of episodes that I have recorded. So we have hundreds of interviews with women in the pet industry, and then I have quite a few solo episodes about my own experiences of what works and what hasn't really worked in growing my own pet business. So if you are here and ready to take your own pet business to the next level in 2026 and beyond, I am still here for you, and I want to support you in doing that. So I'm going to wrap up. This is just a short little bite-sized episode to get me back on track, back in the habit of podcasting here. And I just wanted to check in with you and tell you that I'm still around. And if you would like to listen to my other show, Dog Enrichment with Tori Mistick, you can find that everywhere that you listen to podcasts. And if you do have a pet business that is serving pet parents and they could benefit from some dog enrichment information, I hope that you would share that podcast with them as well. I think that you and I could work together as a great team. Sometimes pet parents don't always listen to the advice that you give them. And if you have another person who is an expert in the pet industry, and you could share information just from their slightly different viewpoint, sometimes you can get pet parents to listen that way. At the end of the day, we are all interested in giving pets out there a better life. So hopefully we can work together to do that. Thanks again for listening, and tune in soon for another new episode here from the, what's it called again? Grow Your Pet Business with Tori Mistick podcast. Thanks for listening. I'll see you soon.